JB here. Hope everyone's doing outstanding. Wednesday, March 5th, 324. Really quick rant, talk about the market, some of the names I'm looking at, go from there. S&P reversing. S&P's up about over 1% here. Trying to look at the other indexes here, which I don't have. NASDAQ is about 1.2%. Small caps, about 0.8%. So finally some green, breaking the 3-session losing streak. Uh, we'll see what happens here. It looked like Mark was kind of fluttering around in the morning. Uh, well, we're gapping higher. It looked like we are going to gap higher overnight, and then gave back the gains into the open. Then the markets found sellers. We hit lows about 11:30, and then we were just chopping around that 575 handle. So I was a little nervous that maybe there's going to be some more downside. Then, a little after 12 o'clock, you had the White House press secretary come on, and they discussed the tariffs and discussions around rolling back the auto tariffs for at least a month, and that kind of put a bit in stocks. And I think it's kind of like it opens up scenarios, right? It's not just with the autos, but there's probably gonna be more. It's gonna be more a fluid situation as opposed to, hey, we're gonna have 25% tariffs on Mexico and Canada. So I think that that's some of it, right? A little more, I guess, some hope that it's probably just that it's not just a 25% and that's it, and then we just leave the subject and then hope for the best, right? And hope everything works itself out. So, uh, good stuff there. And you know, tomorrow's the GDP now number. I don't know if anybody else is gonna be looking at it, but I certainly either want to see that flat line or maybe reverse. Maybe it's just a one-time anomaly. But if that doesn't jitter markets and the jobs report comes out on Friday, it's going to be a doozy. It's going to be a weak jobs report, but if it comes in at least not too horrible, all right, I think markets maybe can find some footing into the weekend. Keep talking about areas I'm watching. So that 575 area on the SPY, then 584, and we're pretty close to it right here in regards to resistance. Be solid here if we can close above that. Tomorrow we have also Broadcom earnings after the close. That might put a or somewhat of a fire back into the AI space after NVIDIA kind of became a sell the news event. So certainly maybe some subtle optimism heading into weekend. I mean, I think we were down 3% coming into today for the week. So if we have a 1% day, then we're down 2%, a little bit less than 2%. And hey, maybe we get a little rally. And I mean, the markets, who was forever was saying it earlier. I mean, we were 590.96 to start the week. Pretty remarkable that. So hey, we can get back there if the markets find some footing. Also, some things I'm watching, and I typically watch the 50-day moving average, but we've been getting closer to that 200-day moving average on the S&P. It's a spot we haven't hit since November, and you start looking, the amount of stocks trading over their 200-day moving average on the S&P was exactly at 50% just a little while ago. So definitely something I'll continue to watch. Hopefully that's it. And you take a look at the last big market poll was back in the end of 2023. So hopefully not setting up for that. But for now, market looks pretty well bid. All right, so that's overall market. Yeah, take a look at Roku, right? 2 days in a row. Moffett Nathanson, whoever was the bearish analyst, came out and removed their sell rating yesterday. So I don't know if that's maybe that kickstart. I'm trying not to watch it because then I'll be tempted to possibly add some strikes. All right, so that's the overall market. So then individual names. So Arista Networks gapping. It was gapping overnight. It was over $88. Then it was 87, and then it opened around 87 or so, and then it just gave back those gains into the 10, 11 o'clock hour. I didn't want to be in a spot where I lost my profits, so I closed those strikes out. I thought maybe I'd revisit. It's been kind of mustering around 85, 86 before finding a bid with the rest of the market after the noon hour. Uh, I'll continue to watch that one. I mean, the 200-day moving average there is 95.72. Broadcom earnings after close tomorrow could be a catalyst. So if premiums get less expensive on strikes above 90, I might look for some more spec calls there. And then on the flip side, with the SPY was 575, hanging there. And then once that broke, I was looking for another possible put hedge. Of course, I've done Visa and JP Morgan already this week, and Goldman Spectacular was another option. I was looking for some decent risk reward strikes, and so I got the Goldman Spectacular puts as a hedge. It kind of hung in there for a bit, and then bounced after the 12:30 hour with that tariff news. I'll continue to hold those as a put hedge. I mean, the market's been pretty. There's been wild swings. I mean, take a look at my strategy today. Right, the stock was down. I think it was down to 230 earlier this week. Even though some puts might be far out of the money, doesn't mean that you know, if we do get some weakness, those can not only can the implied volatility go up, causing the price to increase, but also if the stocks get closer. So I'll continue to hold those as a hedge. And then on the flip side, you know, I keep looking at Caterpillar and United Rentals as bounce plays. I was actually looking this morning. Caterpillar really couldn't find some footing, was down back in the red, and then boom, the 12:30 hour, it started to really find a bid. So I finally got some spec calls into the end of the week. You take a look at the chart, and I don't know why I don't have it up here, but I think it heads over 350, and it won't take much. 3% move, and it's into the high 340. So if there's any continuation tomorrow, especially if we close over 584 here on the SPY, I think that's a nice lotto there, and I'll continue to look for opportunities for other ones. United Rentals is another one that I was looking at as well. And then Lemonade, and you know, I was looking all the way down to 35 and change. I think it did hit 33 this morning. 34.60 was the lows, was it? Yeah, 34 and change on Lemonade. I'm still eyeing some strikes here. Maybe those Aprils will get added overnight, and then I can look to get some April 55s. That would be kind of like a ideal strike for me. Still like that one for upside. Trying to send other names on the downside. So in the morning, this morning, it's still some follow through on some of these retail names like Ralph Lauren. And again, doesn't have much in the way of liquidity, but that one just looks like it's ready to get down to 230. Call me crazy. I was looking at Intuit as well, and Intuit actually reversed from 602. It's up $15 from the early morning lows, but that one looked like it was going to reverse similar to what it did yesterday. So maybe it's a change of trend here today. Hopefully, right? And also, it was going to be back-to-back days of, speaking of bucking the trend, the markets not having their highs within the first 7 minutes of the trading day, right? I mean, we're right near the highs here, so that I think that kind of bodes well. So anyway, that's kind of that. I'm also Dell. I think they're speaking at a conference today. That one looks interesting at some point. Again, Broadcom after the close tomorrow. Maybe that puts a bid in some of these names. So that could be interesting. So don't be surprised to add some strikes there. But then, you know, I keep saying keeping things small. Small can become big in these with these swings, and big can become small. So it doesn't make sense to be overly aggressive here until we market either finds some footing or we start breaking supports, and I can be a little more aggressive on the put side. So I'm hoping the latter's not the case, but got to be open to both scenarios, at least in the short term. And that's it, folks. Have a great day. I'll be back. Rock and roll.